if my internet holds up. But yeah, we're heading into the action, the Atlanta Reign versus the London Spitfire as the match. And currently what we're looking at here is that basically the London Spitfire are playing. Am I still disappearing? I am still. It's like a scene at the end of that one Marvel film. I can't even remember the name of it. I don't even like Marvel films. But yeah, what is it? Like, I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. Anyway, let's take a look at Atlanta. Pull up the bloody players. This is a team that is on the up and up and up and up. They are. They are looking right strong, and no part, I think, as well. A part in NA, Florida and Washington have been looking a little bit weaker as of late. So they have joined the top dogs. We've been trying to dispel the narrative of this team being the kind of gatekeepers now, because they are trying to essentially affirm their spot at the very top, and one of the favorites to make it to Hawaii.
Well, it's going to be hard as well, right? Because there's so many good teams at the moment in North America, and the London Spitfire on the other side are going to try and keep them down. But honestly, today is one of those days in the Overwatch League where if any upset happens, it will shatter people's expectations, because I think the desk is perfectly right. A lot of the fans of Atlanta and of Houston are coming in today expecting 2 clean wins, and anything other than that is going to start to shift people's expectations. You say that, you know, the Atlanta Reign are no longer the gatekeepers. There aren't really that many teams to gatekeep in the North American region. There's like
that's right.
The Vancouver Titans, the London Spitfire, and now the Florida Mayhem have started to drift down there as well. So even if they were the gatekeepers, you still expect them to be able to pretty cleanly deal with London today.
You certainly do. Let's take a look at the London starters, and this is a team that is currently 0-10 in the course of the season. They got 6 matches left to play, Josh. This is one of them. Spark is in, which is always good signs. Obviously, we're all looking forward to Spark coming into this lineup as well, turning 18 and being eligible, because he's shown such promise. But
and it has made a difference. It has made a difference, though, Brad. I mean, the London Spitfire have looked like they're improving recently. The problem is, you can still be improving whilst failing to win your matches, and that's what happened when it came to that map 5 against the San Francisco Shock very recently. They took them all the way there, took them absolutely to the brink, but they just couldn't get over the finish line. Sparker, though, since he's been added to the team, since he turned 18, has produced a 50% map win rate for them. In the games which Sparker has been playing, they're winning half their maps. So that's only a small sample size from 2 matches, but it's still pretty good, and it's significantly better from what the London Spitfire were doing earlier on in the season. So their fortunes are trending in the right direction, but there isn't very much of the season left to play. And Bren, I hate to bring it up, but this franchise is now on a 21-match losing streak. The 10 from this year, and then 11 at the end of last year as well. That's second only to the Shanghai Dragons, and you're halfway there. They had a 42-match loss streak, and the London Spitfire are halfway there with 21. So this match here it feels absolutely like an uphill battle. They are not favored to win by any means, but it would be such a big deal for this franchise to turn things around and get the ship righted.
Oh yeah, a win against the Atlanta Reign here would be enormous for them. And both of these teams are playing for the knockouts still that are coming up here, because the London Spitfire, they're still eligible, I think, as well. If they win this match, technically, it might be out of their hands if they win out or whatever, but it's still possible. I don't want to remove the possibility whatsoever, as we are heading into Ilios.
And look at that statistic at the bottom of your screen as well. The Spitfire haven't taken a map off the Reign since Stage 2, Week 1 of 2019. The factoid curse. I don't know whether the factoid curse means the factoid gets proven wrong, or the factoid curses the Spitfire to continue not being able to take a map. One is very much preferred for the British fans at home. And they do have a chance. I've got to remind everybody at home, the London have been playing better recently, but it would be a significant step up to be able to take it to the Reign. They are looking like a scary team right now.
Certainly are, and they're going to get geared up and ready to go here. You can see the Atlanta Reign teasing this double shield. In fact, they're going to be rolling out with it, and this is something that the desk was talking about, putting Gator on the Orisa. It's one of his strengths in terms of how well he's able to really get those halts off as well, connect up some real solid pulls to combo up with the rest of the team.
And for the London Spitfire, they need to try and close this gap with Sparker's teleporter. And that's why, you see him go to the high ground, Atlanta Reign have already disappeared. They knew that was coming in, and Atlanta had already prepped what their response would be.
Yeah, the TP straight to the point, and now they're running this very, very defensive composition. got the positioning already on the objective, and now they can just hold on here. You can see them now just trying to take the fight straight up into them. The Ice Wolf blocking off the line of sight there from our observers, but it isn't going to matter. Maybe, maybe it was just Blase not wanting us to see the absolute massacre that was about to occur on the point.
Yeah, he was saving us all. The London Spitfire are still fighting this, though, actually. And with Iris down, that's a lot of the healing dead for the Atlanta Reign. They may be able to chip this one back in, and London are turning this fight.
Yeah, they are. Hawk falling very, very low there, getting taken out, and that's both the tanks removed. Nice little icicle there. Blase finding his target. They can flip this point over. They built up a couple of ults as well now, and as the Atlanta Reign look to try and engage, they're going to be trying to fight directly into this Amp Matrix the Reaper's holding on to.
Normally, when you're playing an Orisa composition against a Reinhardt, you want to try and poke the shield as much as possible. Atlanta Reign don't really have that much additional poke. Sure, you definitely do have more poke coming from your tank line with the Orisa and the Sigma, but it's not an enormous amount more. So Hades does still have that flexibility. There's a lot of sight lines where you can play close angles, but Atlanta are just trying to get on the point.
Yeah, they killed the teleporter, and they're just going to be teleporting right themselves onto the point. And Matrix is going to be committed. Shadow down. Only finding the one target, that's Hawk, who's dropped down to the low ground here. But Morphig, or Morph, I should say, Morph1G, as we found out the inspiration for his name comes from. And it's going to be trying to take this fight a little bit further now. With the Sim splitting up the point, Sparker believes that it is still winnable here. They might be able to catch the stagger kills.
Yeah,
the remaining members of the Atlanta Reign, and there you go. They're going to be winning out the team fight.
Hawk used his Gravitic Flux. Iris also used the Amp Matrix, but it was very late in the fight. Atlanta only had a couple of players left alive when Hawk tried to turn that with the Gravitic Flux. That felt like it wasn't really that winnable. And Blase, really the hero to me, to be able to use that Blizzard and just isolate the whole of Atlanta and predict that they were pathing towards the point. Now he has swapped over to the Doom as well, which we've seen be really effective against the backline, the front line of Atlanta, who are all killable.
TP up to the high ground. Rally almost available. Blase going for the punch. 45 health though. Has to play with the rest of his team here. Sandbar didn't connect. It was blocked off by the Sim wall. He has to play round this corner now. Self-destruct laid down onto the point. Going to break a bit of the shielding here. London now on 85% and counting. And Atlanta's still trying to find their first pick though. Hardy will go down. It's a wonderful one to start things off here for them. But there's a lot of damage coming out of Spark. Is still the turrets. Will take out Blase as he tried to get something done here, and just swinging away off into the corner. With the Inspire healing backing him up, the Atlanta Reign will be able to cap this up.
A lot of work being done there from Edison, you saw. I mean, the turrets being able to kill Blase, sure, but the pressure on Hardy as well to get that first pick. And the timing just wasn't quite right for Blase's aggression. He got a huge uppercut. I think it forced out Immortality Field as well. But there's nobody else from London that's really able to capitalize. They don't have that aggressive component of their team that was able to forge a path forwards and capitalize on what Blase was doing there, stunning everyone up. And now Atlanta, they have to hold this. It's 99% for the London Spitfire. Already a great advantage for the British team.
Okay. Yeah, the Amp Matrix comes down. Reaper. He's going to have it available, but they're just playing out of line of sight for it. And right now, Gravitic Flux. Hawk trying to find a couple of targets. Catches the tanks. Could be pretty critical for them. Teleport also going to be removed from the fight, so not going to be able to follow up onto the high ground, but can't quite get that kill onto Hardy. Oh, with Morph going down, though, that's not ideal, but Iris falls. A big pick-off here. Pick. London could come back in.
They totally could. Gator's ultimate, though, is extremely powerful, and Blase falls to the power of it. Pelican now being forced to use his Blizzard as well. They're definitely forcing ultimates out. For London, they just need to disengage. If they can kite all of these ults and come back in, they still have a chance. Kellex can definitely get the touch here.
Yep, Kellex will be able to get that touch going, so the overtime comes through. Holt, trying to corner. Kellex needs to survive this one. The Atlanta Reign just holding onto the point, still pushing themselves off onto it. They almost didn't touch that one. What a shatter. 2 players down. Hardy with the double kill there through the one charge. Gator's still just trying to stay alive, but eventually going to be burned down. And the London Spitfire committing everything into this fight, almost everything. Just trying to turn it out. Now Hawk, the last one standing, does not have that Gravitic Flux in time to be able to salvage it. It's going to be the round going to the London Spitfire.
And already much different to the way we thought this match was going to go. London being able to play this Reinhardt comp very effectively into the Atlanta Reign. It's quite a short map. There's a lot of ways in which your Reign can get big value against the Orisa. The Orisa comp much favoring the longer sight lines. Very, very good start for the London Spitfire. Reminder again that they haven't taken a map off the Atlanta Reign since like week 1 of 2019, I think that little factoid said.
Yeah, quite some time ago. There's Hattie actually getting around onto the point. This is the big shatter here. Yeah, that is
just as the shield
excellent as well. And so difficult to do often against the double shield and the Brigitte as well.
And the perfect sound barrier. I think he went down to less than 10 health. And Kellix's sound barrier, he was still frozen up on 92%, by the way. It's just that no one on Atlanta could finish the kill. And he comes back in for that clutch ult. What a play by London.
And it secured them the round here. This match initially could be going a very different way than most people were expecting. Wolf now on the wrecking ball, trying to set up a nice little power drive, engage, and that is almost perfect. It locks up the positioning. Hardy comes around the corner, swinging away. It's free damage and free real estate. They're going to be capping up this point in the blink of an eye.
And we've seen the impact that somebody like Fate can have on Wrecking Ball to just bunch people together and set up for those big executes onto static compositions. But this time it's an off-tank playing it. Molfix setting up for Hadi to get cleave damage through everyone. And Sparkus McCree, the desk highlighted it, he has been really good on this hero so far. And he already finds a pick that's going to send Atlanta scuttling just for another couple of seconds. Ticking time off the clock and allowing London a bit of safety here to set Molfig up. He's already on the high ground, ready for another slam. This is so dangerous for Atlanta to look at.
Reaper building up the Sand Matrix again. That's what I'm going to be looking at. The Atlanta Reign are quite slow to engage this. I mean, they use the teleport to really get, I guess, mobility around the map, but as soon as it's used, yeah, it does get you past it, but that boop comes down. Ice Wall as well to block off the Amp Matrix just around the corner. Mine's almost built up, finally got them available. But still, the Atlanta Reign struggling to get a foothold onto this point to really threaten the idea of taking it. Now the ultimates start to get expended here. Mine's into the back. Spark using that. Deadeye comes through. That is going to be a big shatter. Only onto the one target. Hattie has to get back here now, though, with the symbol coming up. Come around the corner. The charge is not going to be hitting. Not going to be kinetic. Sound barrier actually being committed here by the London Spitfire to try and turn this fight, but the Atlanta Reign have set up perfect positioning. They've got all the damage as well, as Edison is fully charged up.
Honestly, the fight was not really in Atlanta Reign's hands. If London's execution had been a little bit better, Atlanta just had to try and hold strong. But they did. They held the line. And when Molfig went in for his pile drive, Sparker's Deadeye didn't find too much. And even the Shatter, with Pelican being dropped to the floor, they couldn't capitalize. Atlanta holding together, holding strong, utilizing that rally to forge a path forwards, and their timing on when they wanted to engage was good. London is still in an advantage in terms of the capture time, but now they have to push into such big ultimates from Atlanta Reign.
This Gravitic Flux could be quite nice. Gator lays down that supercharger, and it's a bit preemptive.
I mean, it does just buy time, though. And it does, yeah. Buying time for you to get up to the Amp Matrix, too. Like, you can start a bit of an ult cycle here that London should have difficulty closing the gap without a sin.
Precisely. London not in a position to take it out. The Amp Matrix comes through, though. A bit of a mistiming there. The Fire Strike came out a little bit too late there, but yeah, almost did kill Edison. Wasn't quite ready for it. Still, buying time. You can see both teams have the window down, and it kind of pushes them off from really pushing and taking the team fight. Already 55% and counting here, Josh.
Okay, we're going to get a pause as well. It feels like London have been paused this entire time. They've just been stalled out in 2 team fights now by big ultimates from the Atlanta Reign. They can't push into that amount of damage because Hadi's shield will just get melted. And this is the value of Symmetra that you're seeing other Reinhardt teams try and take use of. Because when you have, you know, a supercharger on the field or an Amp Matrix or something, the Symmetra gives you the mobility to be able to close the gap without Hadi taking a ton of damage onto his shield. And you can take, like, really unique flanking routes, for example, and just bypass the Amp Matrix completely. Get straight to the point. It's something at the moment that's really missing from the London Spitfire that gives them that ability to increase the tempo against Atlanta. And now, I mean, with this pause, as soon as we get back into the game, which is going to happen very shortly, Atlanta still have big stalling ultimates here. The Gravitic Flux, the Blizzard. You can combo one into the other to be able to win a team fight.
Certainly can. And the ult rotation that we were mentioning as well becomes so important. And he's just trying to basically engage onto him. Speed Boost going to be committed. That is a big ult, comes around the corner there. Catched onto Iris, forces the ults out. Hawk going to be sending him right up into the sky. Moth goes down, and the TP, oh, just to get out of the way of the charge. And he's not going to be finding his mark.
That was great. The Atlanta Reign as well, they didn't even invest their Blizzard there. So normally you'll see Gravitic Flux into Blizzard as a big team fight finisher. They didn't even bother with that. Iris and Massa were dropped on the floor and the Gravitic Flux was just used by Hawk to stop the London Spitfire capitalizing on the shatter. It was a Blizzard used from Blase in the other side, and that got no value. We've just seen this London Spitfire stalled out of this fight completely.
Deadeye, all going to be used to supplement it here, but a Sim Wall straight up. That's going to be eating up the damage along with the Blizzard as well. London Spitfire obviously had to engage, they had to touch. Pin across the map there from Hardy, but yep, straight into the enemy team. And of course the Atlanta Reign going to be dealing with him in no time whatsoever, and that's the overtime burnt down to a crisp. Another round on the board, but this time to the Atlanta Reign, bringing it 1-1.
It was just too easy for them. I'm sorry, the London Spitfire put up no resistance as soon as the Atlanta Reign took the objective. I think London needed to realize that they had to make the swap. They needed a bit more pace and tempo to the way that they were playing. They had to force out ultimates earlier on, even if it meant taking more risks. The slow pace at which they played, they only managed to get one team fight. The others, they just had to disengage immediately before you'd even exchange damage. So at the moment, what we're seeing here is when Atlanta can play this Orisa composition in control of the objective through longer sight lines, London don't have an answer as yet. This map does favor Orisa to some extent because the pulls are so deadly compared to playing a Reinhardt comp, but also there's a lot of short angles for Hadi to be able to get value, so I don't see Atlanta just stalling London out forever if they do manage to take the point. Nevertheless, it is tough playing against Gator's pulls here.
Yeah, so much to set it up with as well. Obviously, ample opportunities for Kelix maybe to get a couple of environmental kills, but it's kind of rare against this composition, especially when they're just TPing in and out of line of sight, just chopping and changing the positioning. As you can see here, the Atlanta Reign just immediately just moving to the other side. Now the wall doesn't quite connect. Hardy has got into position, but now he's just swinging into the fortified Gator. And as that was happening, they're trying to engage, they're trying to wrap around to try and put damage into the Atlanta Reign. They're just getting taken out by the DPS. As Pelican Edison just burn them down, trying to rotate.
Very good awareness, though, from Atlanta to realize that the threat was not really coming from in front. It was coming from behind. Sparker on McCree and Blase both went for a little flanking angle to see if they could put pressure on the backline and pull Atlanta Reign back. Didn't work, though. Atlanta are too smart for stuff like that. You got to wake up early in the morning to catch them off guard. And now Sparker makes the move over to Hangzhou, gives them quite a bit of shield break, more poke damage from a distance. So this evens things up a little bit, but I'm not sure you're really going to be able to poke with a Reinhardt comp effectively.
Yeah, honestly, looking for those one shots, those arrows to the head to try and turn the fight around. That is dangerous. The TP right onto Sparker. He recognizes it. To be taken out of the fight, but again, time being shaved off the clock here, Josh. And Matrix comes around the corner as it's a bit of a double-pronged attack here from the London Spitfire. Coming in, 3 from the back, 3 from the front. It's not going to be working, though. Still, Sparker catches onto Massa with that one arrow. Takes him out, but they're going to be able to keep up a couple of these players. Still Sparker trying to win out this team fight for them, and is going to be able to force out that symbol as it gets a little bit dicey here for the Atlanta Reign. Gator falling very, very low, does have that supercharger, needs to survive, might opt to try and use it if this team fight carries on much longer.
Yeah, but with Molf dying, the London Spitfire is still going to try and fight into this, but Atlanta have all the tools they need to be able to destroy them. The Shatter is just way too ambitious. It does catch onto Edison, but there's no chance of being able to turn that team fight around. London needed to disengage there, and they've just wasted more time off their own clock.
I mean, just good luck trying to hit a Shatter against this composition as well. You gotta think about what you're up against. It's an uphill battle. It really is. You're up against a double shield, the triple shield if you want to count Brigitte as well.
Yeah.
Irish jumping over it, Pelican ice blocking. I mean, they've got so much to counteract it. It's so difficult. But Dragon Strike from Sparker off into the side to try and push them forwards. That's the supercharger laid down into the back line. No one's really dealing with this as well, and it gives them so much damage to work with, along with the Amp Matrix. Just layering it, doubling up on top. That still, the London Spitfire are finding opportunities to try and win out this team fight, but Irish is just trying to keep his team alive. Pelican in the front lines, just causing havoc, and is anybody going to be able to touch this? The overtime is going, but there's only a couple of players of London left, Josh.
Yep, there really are. It's all over. The Atlanta Reign very firmly in control. And it was a flash of brilliance early on from the London Spitfire in that first round, but since then, it's been all Atlanta. They bullied Hardy on every approach. Whenever London tried to do those split pincer attacks, with Sparker normally being the one pressuring from behind, sure, Sparker was able to find a couple of kills on Hangzhou, but the front line just got ruined of London. Atlanta are making decisions faster, they're aware of what London are doing, and they're dismantling them. There was a little bit of shakiness at the beginning, but that map very firmly falls in favor of the Rain.
So difficult for them, yeah. We're going to see how this series really plays out on the other side of the break. The London Spitfire came close, but not going to be walking away with a map win just yet. Still opportunities in this series, though, so we'll find out soon enough if they can battle back against the Atlanta Rain. Don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Indeed, we help people get jobs. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back from the break, everybody, and taking a look at our Indeed player resume. We're going to be taking a look at Iris here on the Atlanta Rain, and as you can see, numerous amounts of accomplishments as well. But this guy, I mean, he's doing it all on a multitude of roles, and really is the backbone, I think, in this current metagame that we're seeing in this tournament cycle, I suppose. A lot lying on his shoulders in terms of his timings with various abilities, and really putting up the good results.
He's also a hidden talent, honestly. No one talks about Iris this year. People are always talking about, you know, Gator and Hawk looking a lot better, the addition of Kai, Pelican looking excellent, and maybe being like a Rookie of the Year candidate. But slowly but surely, Iris is making his impact known. Ever since he joined the team for late 2020, he has just slowly been making that backbone look so solid. That supportive backbone for the Atlanta Reign has just been putting in work all season long, just quietly performing. And that's something that looked a little shaky for the Atlanta Reign in their past few seasons. But Massa and Iris have absolutely been solid. There's never really been a game where you can point to, oh, that was the problem. They lost because of that backline. It simply hasn't happened. And it's an underrated part of why they've been so successful this year, just developing that synergy over the course of the whole season.
And yeah, we saw some substitutions coming in for Volskaya Industries map leaderboards. Obviously, you can see the Atlanta Reign besting the Shanghai Dragons back in 2019. I think that was even before, I'm presuming it was before the Shanghai Dragons really started to heat up in the later half of 2019 when they set that kind of time bank. But of course,
Atlanta were also pretty nasty at the end of 2019 as well, so it's possible that they could have been there too.
That's very true. Yeah, heading into Volskaya Industries, and yeah, we saw Kai came in as well as part of the subs as well. We can kind of touch on that a little bit. Absolutely understandable why he would be playing on Volskaya Industries. Super long sight lines. It's really his playground in terms of where he's comfortable, I feel like, as well. When he's playing this long-range hit scan, either on the Ash or whatnot, whatever it is, he's just going to be dominating most of the time.
They haven't been running him very much recently, though. They've been mostly going with that Edison Pelican tank line because they've been mostly trying to run the Reinhardt Rush compositions with the Symmetra. So this indicates to me that Atlanta really are taking a pivot in the direction that the desk was talking about, and the direction that we were talking about when we were casting the Dallas-Atlanta game as well. We said that they had a big strategic choice to make of whether to try and go for the Sim Rush or to try and play the more Orisa compositions where Gator is absolutely at his most comfortable. And it does definitely seem like Atlanta are pivoting in that kind of direction. Kai's absolutely been brought in here to play that long-range hit scan role. Those are the kind of maps where you expect big performances from him as well. And he's, I mean, amazingly here, Brent, as well. He gets to play against Shax, his former teammate, who's been subbed in on Tracer.
A very good point, yeah. Shax coming in as well to try and offset the Kai difference that might be rearing its head. The London Spitfire are playing this double shield comp, so going to be matching what the Atlanta Reign are putting up here. Sparker might be making a swap. Okay, he's going to be playing the Hangzhou. A pretty good option, honestly, to try and contest of some of what the Atlanta Reign are running.
Sparker's your player to watch, though, I think. I mean, Shax has a lot on his plate. He's going against a backline that's very defensible here, and he doesn't really have too much to combo with.
And the Torbjorn pack as well.
Yeah, he's going to have to try and harass a little bit, but it doesn't really seem to me like Shax is going to be in a good position to get much done. Best he can try and do maybe is distract the backline, build up a pulse bomb, go for like a Hulk pulse kind of setup. Otherwise, you're relying on Sparker to crack this open.
How does he do it? He's only on 26%. He's unable to get past this kind of line that the Atlanta Reign have drawn at the choke point.
Yeah,
it's so difficult.
Not really. He could try and apply some point presence.
That's good.
I mean, that is fantastic.
Yeah, the Amp Matrix into the Halt is a age-old combo. The cashes onto Gator. Gator didn't have the Fortify to try and kind of, I guess, get away from the Halt that came through.
And the lamp was like...
Nice little cooldown for them, but Reaper goes down. That's a critical loss for them still. They're going to be pressing the advantage, and the London Spitfire pushing around the corner are able to capitalize, win out this team fight.
Yeah, good push by them. We were kind of confused as to what Shax's role would be, but he comes alive a little bit there towards the end, just on cleanup duty. He didn't have a large impact in creating the opening for them, but he now is building up to that pulse bomb, which could be crucial for them in this next team fight. They also have Hulk Dragon to be able to work with here. They have the Gravitic Flux that's going to be coming online at some point too. So they do have tools from those ultimates to crack open the Atlanta Reign. And as soon as you get that first kill, especially if it's on the Orisa, providing the shield and the stability for the Atlanta Reign, you can really start to take that space yourself.
Yeah. Pelican's popping the overload, just trying to put in a bit of chip damage across the map, maybe break down these shields. And they are just waiting, I think, for the London Spitfire to try and get their engagement going. Atlanta Reign have a lot of ults to try and offset this. Obviously, the Bob and the Molten Core that they can lay down. Just to stop
this pathing is good.
Pressuring.
Yeah, I like
the
this.
London Spitfire, you can see this, just trying to take the top left.
Yeah, you want to try and push Hawk off the high ground. They're going to use the Dragon just to do it there as well. And the halt. That's so well done. And they have the pulse bomb for another halt coming up next as well.
Ultimate's going to be used. Oh, Shaq's getting caught. Has to use that recall, just backing off. Another Molten Core laid down. Onto the battlefield. The pulse bomb, it sticks onto Gator, but the rally armor just keeping him up. And they're unable to win out this team fight. It's so difficult for them. And the London Spitfire, when they're running this composition, they lack the burst that is really, honestly, was taking the Atlanta Reign off guard a little bit in the first initial round that we saw. That's quite good, though, to try and punish them. And Matrix comes down as they try and collect on this, but the Atlanta Reign just push right past it.
Yeah, they realize that they have superior numbers in that area of the map, and London end up misusing ults, I guess, is the way that you could put that. There is an option there to maybe get a punish and be able to recontest, but your spawners are pretty far away at that point. And against a team that's as comfortable being, against a team that's as comfortable being aggressive as Atlanta, you're not going to really win those engagements. This is interesting. Pelican making the swap over. So now it's a BAP Mercy backline. And Massa is going to be pretty much on damage boost duty here for Pelican. Though they can get the peel on Kai too.
Yeah, and I think this is to punish. It gives you way more damage options, I think, of punish and tank line when they try and take this top left approach. You can see London on it right now. And yeah, you see Pelicans right up in the sky. It's very difficult for the London Spitfire DPS to try and take him out. I think you've got to be hitting arrows. You've got to be playing out of line of sight and range of the Tracer a lot of the time. That's a nice little halt, but the rock doesn't hit. And again, Pelican being pocketed, so he's not going to be going down. The sticky bombs also doing a bit of damage. But yeah, it's just so slow for the London Spitfire to try and approach.
Yeah, a little late on the accretion there from Molf. The player I'm looking at now, though, is Shax, because without the Brigitte on the field, Iris should be opened up a little bit. So Shax might be able to pressure the backline, force the Immortality field a little earlier. He is finding it still difficult to be able to work his way in, but things have gotten slightly easier for the Tracer.
Just trying to get into this left-hand approach. It is also going to be much easier trying to find flanks, I suppose, about the Torb turret. It's going to be peppering you from a distance.
Sure, yeah. And this, you can see Sparker working up a great angle for a Dragon Strike. If he can use it to take a little bit of space.
Supercharger on both sides. Yeah, that's on either side. And if they're not in a position to take one or the other out, it's probably going to be a bit of a stalemate. Gravitic Flux going to be used in close quarters. Hawk has to be careful here. Slams straight down into the floor. London committing ultimates. You can see the Dragon Strike comes through, and Matrix as well. Accretion. I'm going to be trying to Hawk sucking up that damage, but not enough. He just withstood it, and the rest of the team were able to just absolutely punish that approach from London.
Yeah, okay, so Molfik gets into a good position. Molf 1G gets around the back. He's able to get in a good position to do off-angle damage. But Hawk recognizes that and just contests him immediately with the Gravitic Flux. And Pelican comes in as well. The coordination was great to be able to punish Molf for getting in that great position. The thing that I'm still concerned about, though, and I feel like the narrative from the community here is going to be, why is Shax continuing to play the Tracer and whack his head into this brick wall? The Tracer has had zero impact in these team fights. Basically only on cleanup duty, landing some pulse bombs that have had no impact across the fight. And London just look like they're putting themselves at a disadvantage.
And they're always spotting him as well. You can see Pelican just kind of marking him as well, so Shax can't even get into position to try and set himself up here. It's really difficult to try and make this pick-off work. London are down to the last 50 seconds, and they have just really just only taken this one approach. You can see them just taking the high ground area slowly but surely, but they're not finding openings, and now Kai's got the pick up on Shax. What are they waiting for? Some kind of setup? It's too little too late.
Etu, Kai, really old LA Valiant teammates, and you just brutalize the Tracer again. He's having a hard enough time of it, but the positioning for the London Spitfire is offering them opportunities, and Pelican gets knocked out of his duplicate immediately.
Yeah, they have found an in, and now Kai in the back line. He's being pushed out here by both Molf and Shax, finding that the tank line just running them down. Still, Bob onto the point. It's going to be the accretion blocked up there. But the damage coming through, and still the London Spitfire struggling to find the pace to try and get onto this objective. Only 6 seconds remaining, still running the double shield. Iris now with the Amp Matrix as well. That's going to be laid down soon enough, and there you go. It's a firing range for him. He can just absolutely obliterate them. The shield's gone down, forces out the grass. They're just trying to work their way around the corner. Immortality field around the corner, but now the Dragon Strike comes through. This is good for London.
Yeah, that immortality field was too late, actually. He didn't react quickly enough. He didn't realize where that was going. And now they know exactly where Massa is. This could be London Spitfire just taking it away. Hattie has the supercharger down as well. Huge amount of damage. It pouring into the Atlanta Rain. And they've just made a mistake at the last moment there.
Slight mistake. Gravitic Flux up into the air, but nobody can touch to try and contest that one. But the London Spitfire, they see the mistake and they capitalize off of it right away. They're going to get that second objective, that second checkpoint that they were looking for, which is quite brutal, honestly, being whittled down to absolutely no time in the slightest. But they have made it a winnable scenario for them.
Yeah, they only just. London found themselves some nice opportunities at the beginning of that team fight, but it still took them, what, 30 seconds maybe to be able to convert onto that. And that's because they ended up getting bunched up. They had to deal with Kai, who was behind them. They got bunched up in the mega room. Hawk was trying to lock them in there, waiting for his spawners to come in and reinforce. And it's that single Dragon Strike just opens the map up, denying space, pushing Iris away, killing Hawk. It's Sparker once more, Brent. It's always been Sparker for the last 2 matches. He is the player that London have been missing. A reminder that he was part of the British Hurricane squad that was winning so much in European contenders. And then coming into Owl, they were missing that crucial piece, the star DPS player on their lineup. Since he's turned 18, like I said, London have gone 50% in maps, which isn't bad.
It's not bad, but you got to convert it into wins.
Definitely true.
The end result.
And that's still going to be hard here.
Wins. Yeah. We want to see them take it, obviously. Seen so much success over the pond recently. I'm going to go into detail about it. You all know what I'm referring to. Not going to get carried away, obviously.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see London turn it around here.
I don't think Spark is going to get given a penalty for free anytime soon. So
yeah, that's probably not going to happen. Absolutely egregious that we were even awarded that, but yeah, that's for another time. Here we go, the London Spitfire rotating around the point here, just trying to avoid a lot of this damage, but you can see how much space they've given up for free straight away. Compare that to the Atlanta Rain's defense, holding them at the choke point. The London Spitfire just willing to give up so much space, and Kai afforded a little bit of an off angle there. Damage boosted up, he's already found 2. The Kai diff just coming alive, and with Pelican there to just supplement the damage off into the side, the beam right round the corner. Could be a winnable fight. In fact, with the res onto Hawk, it's almost just done and dusted.
It's done. It is completely done and dusted. The Echo, the damage boosted Echo, is so much more effective than the Tracer. It just is. The damage output is monstrous. The Pelican in the front line and Kai flanking around the side to be able to pick off both DPS players for the London Spitfire. Sure, Kai diff. Yeah, all right. He played fantastically there. But he can only do that because Pelican is doing the majority of the damage from the front line too. He's up to 80% of his duplicate. Compare that to what the London Spitfire were able to accomplish, and it's night and day the difference between this DPS line.
Now they're building up the ults. And I want to see just how they're going to be. Look at the pace immediately. The Atlanta Rain not wasting any time. And Matrix down. Iris needs to be careful of the damage he's taken around this corner. You can see it's Shax's opportunity, but he's taken out another headshot. Kai, well, he's not even playing the McCree. He's not being set up here by a stun. These are just straight up headshots coming through. Absolutely taking out his adversary. Shax having a rough game of it so far. Gravitic Flux from Pelican, actually, with that duplicate. It's going to be connecting onto a lot of targets. It forces out the Immortality Field. Accretion's good as well. Such a good setup for them now. The Atlanta Rain not wasting any time. The rally armor comes through, but Kelix just lost in the source into the corner. Pelican dropping all sorts of teabags all over the place as well. And yeah, that is going to be the 4-minute 52 time bank against London Spitfires 0.
Yes, I don't think this is going to be a challenge. A single tick, London would have to come out with a very different idea of how they want to play this. I will say the Shax Tracer has not worked at all. I feel like a broken record saying it in every single team fight, but there just hasn't been a moment where he's been effective. If he goes onto Kai not only can hit the shots, but has the coach gun to push him away and instantly gets pocketed by Massa's Mercy or even Brig when they were playing the Brig backline. It's just so hard for him to do anything. And you've got to think that London Spitfire in scrims were probably able to just use Shaq's individual skill to tear apart worse teams. But now when they're playing against the upper level of North American Overwatch League, it's just getting nothing done. You can't rely on your individual prowess. You need some kind of team diff. I mean, they're just styling on them. They're just styling on it.
What is that? Massa just going in with the Valkyrie.
Yeah. They know they're the better team by a long stretch.
Okay. Yep. And
now, I don't think we're
London
going to see
Spitfire,
Kai Doomfist and Pelican Genji. I don't think we're going to quite see that.
One way to throw a game. Maybe the Pelican Genji. Who knows? What's he doing here? Teasing.
Okay.
He is going to be, going to be using it. I mean, this puts a lot of pressure, I think, onto any target they burst down. You got to hold down. You want me to? You
don't even try and tell me it's better than the Echo. Don't even try and tell me it's better than the Echo. I don't believe it for a moment. They destroyed with the Echo. I think they just realized they have a ton of time and they're having some fun.
Anytime I see the Genji, though, it's nice. You know, I yearn for the older days. He tries to go for the dash there. Not going to be finding it. Healed up, though, as he's bashed away there by the whip shot. Spark is taking a ton of damage. Has to back off. Dashing around the corner. Could be in danger here, but it's actually Hawk who goes down. A great opening for them. And this time, London are putting a lot more pressure at the choke point before the Atlanta Reign get in. So they've already lost 2 players. Shax as well should be able to get this kill onto Kai. Yeah, not being pocketed. And they're making changes in terms of how they want to be holding this defense.
Yes, they're making changes. They are not getting shot at by an Echo. So they're being able to keep their shield. So Pelican, I mean, he is getting damage boosted. He's up to 80% of a blade. The blade could find value. You know, we've seen blades into halts, and he's going to have a damage boosted Dragon Blade as well. So there's definitely opportunities here. But I don't genuinely think that this is going to be significantly better than when he was playing the Echo.
Yeah, I mean, Shax is going to find one. Gravitic Flux up into the air. That should set up the kill. Pelican's Blade, though. He got the one. That's all he's going to be getting. And they've pretty much won out this team fight. It's just a case of committing the bodies to the point now. It's going to be the Atlanta Reign taking it here. Just a little bit of style points at the end, you know? Maybe Pelican knew that I was casting, you know? He knows I like Genji, seeing it played every now and then. Just
very
to
possible.
Me. The world revolves around me, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I know that for a fact. I am simply one of your orbiters.
Yep, absolutely. Well, that is a map of Overwatch right there. Atlanta Rangers showcasing the difference in skill between them and the London Spitfire. And we've seen some slight moments of brilliance there from the London Spitfire, but not enough to try and convert this one. We're going to go to a short break, and on the other side of things, who knows? You might see the impossible. Maybe a penalty awarded to the London Spitfire, something, maybe a laser shone into the eyes of Gator to try and turn it around. Who knows? We'll find out on the other side of the break if they can maybe find a way back into the series. We'll see you then.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. So much flavor, it's a mind crunch. TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League. And by NetApp, the official data management partner of the Overwatch League.
Well, raise your arms and praise the sun because the summer solstice is here. Glorious incandescence. We've loved getting to see some of your awesome artistic creations this season on a fan art gallery by Coca-Cola. And for the Summer Showdown, submit your summer-themed art celebrating Overwatch League and Coca-Cola for a chance to be featured. Submit your art at overwatchleague.com/art-gallery. You can see the link on your screens right now. Yeah, nice and easy transition here as we head into the power rankings of IBM. What did that tickle you, Josh?
It did. That one got me, actually. I wasn't expecting you to start a religion praising the sun, or just joining one of the previous ones, which have been very popular throughout the years of ancient history. Yeah, taking a look at the tanks. I mean, both of the tanks from the Atlanta Reign are here on your power rankings with IBM Watson in the top 10. The team has been doing very well recently. Get it down a couple of places, Hawk up one since last week too. I mean, you take a look at this, it's mostly dominated by people over in the western region, other than the Shanghai Dragons. And so they're still playing against good competition, right? But they're being able to push out and above a bunch of them. It's been a good year for both of these players. They've really fulfilled the potential that people saw of them.
They really have, yeah, living up to the expectations. Heading into King's Row, which is going to be an interesting one, actually, in terms of the compositions. Now, the Atlanta Reign have been playing pretty much the entirety of the double shield compositions in this series, but it hasn't been the case in the past, at least. They've shown that they're very competent at the rush compositions when they want to play them. Now, Edison's coming back in for Kai, so probably not going to be seeing long-range hit scan being played. It's more likely now, more than ever, that we're going to see that kind of matchup when it comes to the compositions, at least in the mirror, I think, here.
Yeah, I think it is also possible that you could see them still run Orisa compositions with a range of different DPS things, to be honest with you. But yeah, classically, King's Row has been a Reinhardt-centric map, and I think that'll play into the favor of the London Spitfire in some of the moments. I'm wondering whether Blase is going to show some of his Doomfist. It's something we haven't seen too much of this year, but he is one of the players that is not playing on high ping, and he's one of the players that is known for playing Doom. So he has those opportunities to bring it out. He was good in the past when he was playing, for example, with the Houston Outlaws. He had some big moments where he was making his kind of going above and beyond what people expected of him to showcase that he was a legitimately good to potentially great talent on Doom with the right team around him. So that's certainly an option that they could lean into.
And yeah, the Atlanta Reign upsetting my expectations, at least, of trying to match them in the mirror. They seem to be wanting to play the double shield pretty much almost the entire time, which is more than possible, especially in checkpoint A of King's Row as well, because obviously the London Spitfire are the ones who are trying to play into them. Now, they scouted out their comp, and Blase is going to be playing the Doomfist here for but a moment, looking for those engages.
Here we go, Reaper Doomfist. Hardy's in so fast. Blase is still hiding as well. He's completely working around. This is a bit of a great bamboozle kind of thing. Blase is hiding, waiting to get a backstab.
They know.
He's just behind. Do they know? Have they scouted the statue?
They know he's there.
Oh, they know like, now.
Oh, we only spotted a one. You can't get away with that. They're trying to pull out a little bit of a playbook there from the Gladiators. I think it was 2019 when we last saw that one. It was a nice try, but now they've spotted out Blase. Now, it has split the position quite apart, but they know what to expect.
Yeah, exactly. Without the surprise factor, I'm not sure how much Blase is really going to be able to do.
Oh, he's been pressured immediately. They've just beamed him down. That is brutal. They're going to try and dive into the backline. Obviously, now that immortality field is forced out of Iris. It's an opportunity for them to maybe get a kill, and they found Massa and Gator working around the fountain. It's worked out ever so slightly, but still potentially a winnable fight for them. Pelican with the straight icicle. Sim Shield, that's the damage mitigation they need, and it's perfectly placed. The London Spitfire just backing off around the point. Teleporter now going to be set up as well for those late spawners to get back into the action.
If Sparker didn't die there, then they did have a good opportunity to be able to win this team fight. But now he's coming back late. Ripper trying to get set up on the high ground, taking a lot of spam. Atlanta don't really have too much space with which to work, and this poke damage is still good.
That immortality field, it was good. It saved Hattie for but a moment there, and Pelican's going to go down there to the uppercut, but that holds into the shield bash. I mean, Sparker, whether or not he had the Wraith form, I didn't quite catch it. It matters not. Now the Earth Shatter from the side. Hattie gets it. But I need to remind everybody, still no capture percentage. The London Spitfire are trying to win out this team fight before they even, entertain the idea of trying to win out this point. 2 minutes down now, that's all they've got left onto the point, and still not able to capitalize. That is
brutal as well. Because now they've fed ultimates towards the Atlanta Reign. Atlanta are so good at finding these threats. They find Blase so aware of everything, utilizing the Symmetra, getting out of the line of sight of Ripper, and still being able to hold on. They've got another teleport set up as well that just helps them be able to disengage against the team that has a Lucio. That mobility is so important from Edison.
Now they're going to be trying to take an aggressive play here. That is a great bomb right into the back line. Edison caught as he tried to back off there into the choke point, but the ultimate's expended. Might turn this in the favor of the Atlanta Reign. Hawk still has to keep one eye at that choke point, and he's pumping in the damage. And he's just caught Blase as well with the rebound on that one. That is absurd. Forcing out the Wraith form. Sparker has to back off as well. An opportunity maybe for London if they go fast enough, but they're going to go quick here, Josh.
Simple geometry for Hawk, but they have found all of those ultimates. London need to go forwards. The accretion is just so good from Hawk. Had he dropped low, that forces out Immortality Field, and the Sim Wall is there. What can Sparker do in that situation? Atlanta are rock solid. London are battering their heads against a brick wall repeatedly.
Yeah, and this has the makings, I think, of a quick one here. Now, the Atlanta Reign did expend a lot of ultimates in that fight. The rally is still up, but it's not really a game-changing ultimate. For the London Spitfire, it's going to be all eyes on Blase and Hadi, I think, as well, trying to make the most of these ultimates. If they can come up big, come up clutch, they might be able to open it up.
It is so difficult. Blase can play aggressively, sure, but it's all about the positioning of Atlanta. They've been so smart with not giving him opportunities. And Hadi has 2 shields to be able to weave his way through. Looks like, again, Blase is going to go for a little bit of a flank.
The Holt's going to pull them down to low ground. 2 seconds remaining, just about getting the touch on. Now to rally engage. Not even engage, just going to hold their ground here. The Shadow does not connect.
They went for an uppercut Shadow, but it didn't work.
Yeah, not the ideal play for them. Charge into the backline. Hadi actually got a ton of damage off onto them. Wraith form now going to be pushed out. At least Sparker has to use it. Whipshot not going to be connecting, but at this point, no one's left standing. The London Spitfire just cannot contest this one. That's going to be no progress being gained whatsoever. The best they can hope for is a draw.
And it's not for lack of trying from London. Every time they went for a fight, there was a plan. And they looked like fairly intelligent plans as well. In that last team fight, Blase dives deep through Hotel, is able to get an uppercut to try and open up an opportunity once the shields have gone down for a shatter attempt. It's, you'll see it often in the Rhine v Rhine, not quite as effective though when there's double shields on the board, and they weren't really able to get too much value. You also saw London really trying to be creative with their positioning, trying to manipulate Atlanta into showing their backs to Blase in a couple of those team fights, but Atlanta are just too smart. Try as you might, they know what you're going for. These players are hyper intelligent, and the shutdown plays from Hawk and also from Iris and Massa being able to scout Blase at the beginning are just too strong.
Yeah, way too strong. It's going to be such a tall order for the London Spitfire to come back into this one. The comp they're running is interesting. It's creative, I guess, playing around the Zarya as well with Hadi and Blase trying to get engagements on. You have the bubbles to try and support them, but God almighty, what a task ahead of them.
Yeah, this is going to be really difficult. The general game plan for the London Spitfire's composition is going to be that Hadi goes for big engages with Mulfig's bubble. And the Mulfig bubble is going to stop Hadi from getting shield bash, from getting accretion, that kind of stuff. And with Hadi's pile drive, you're trying then to be able to get opportunities for the Storm Arrows and Blase to be able to go for engages. There's a lot of CC here, but there's not really that much stopping power in terms of the damage to combo with it. So a lot of it is going to be comboing very well. I mean, there's a great beginning.
That's a wonderful beginning.
That was set up from Hadi's pile drive, and Sparker from long range was able to find the kill.
Okay, starting to believe a little bit here.
Starting to believe. 30-second Andy, by the way.
Starting to believe a little bit here.
All it takes is one mistake. That's the problem with the London Spitfire's composition. They must play perfectly.
And we see another power drive engage. This time around the corner, Hadi actually, I think, had a line of sight from the bubble, but it catches onto the Molf anyway. Still, though, that's a great wall. Yeah, Molf is just going to be separated, and all they need is one to try and win out this fight now. It's so difficult to try and do. They need to get any sort of kills that he possibly can. Reaper's getting some clean shots off, so Gator goes down, and still the positioning not really working out here. The Atlanta Reign, they are going to start to now put some pressure off onto the point. Sparker needs to hit something.
Immortality
just hiding around the corner. Yeah,
that was not a good time.
Batted off around the corner.
Just gets around.
It's difficult for them. The mines onto the point stop them from pushing as well. And Pelican slept up. Dragon Strike across the point, splitting them up, but it's not going to be any kills going their way. Iris wants to return the favor now with the Amp Matrix onto the high ground, though, and that is going to be pushing London away from this, but they have to step into the point. They have to contest it. It's only a single tick standing between them. So much damage being pumped into them. Big Bionade is going to catch down to the Atlanta Reign. An opportunity maybe for them, but with the Blizzard laid down, they just can't play onto it. Only a couple of targets left standing, and as soon as they remove these fights, these players on the London Spitfire, it's going to be done and dusted. The sound barrier from Kelix only catches onto the support line. It's desperation, and that is going to be BM, is what I was going to say. Look at them, just absolutely stalling it out. I can't believe what I am witnessing.
This is outrageous disrespect, and they've typed "it's not coming home" in the chat.
That is disgusting. That is
against
actually
London,
disgusting.
Against London on King's Row, just brutalizing a 0 and now 11 team. I mean, that is something you do to your rivals. That is, you do not normally punch down like that. I've never seen something like that, genuinely. I have not seen something like that in the league before.
That is...
Boy, oh boy.
I mean, that is disgusting, is what I will say, in terms of just that attitude. I'm kind of speechless at that.
It's kind of funny though.
This kind of,
I don't know.
This kind of bad manner play. What is this? The CDL? Like, I don't know when I don't know when the last time I saw something like that occur.
You know what, as well?
In the Overwatch
that is Atlanta Reign leaning into their previous branding of being the kind of bad boy team. When Dogman was really trying to take this franchise and make them the heels of the Overwatch League, the villains, The Atlanta Reign, maybe they're trying to spice this one back up.
I mean, mate, that's one way to do it. Punching down to a Norton 11 team. Anyway, let's talk about the player of the match, presented by Xfinity. And we're going to be handing it to Pelican this time as an individual. This guy was popping off all over the place, doing it on all sorts of roles, of course, including the Genji, which he pulled out earlier. And just an absolutely unreal performance. I'm sorry, I'm still in shock at what we witnessed.
Yeah, that is incredible. I mean, I'm all for more spice like that. I just wish it was in actual rivalry matches instead of being in, a clear favorite versus a team without a struggling in the league.
Struggling underdog team. Yeah.
Exactly. It feels like they just kicked a
maybe. Yeah. I mean, maybe
is there some animosity between
on the one side?
Possibly. I mean, is there some animosity between the players that we haven't understood? Is this Euros beef coming out to play? I don't know. I mean, there's Pelican, your player of the match.
Sure.
The story was stolen.
It was, yeah. I mean, we could have talked about Pelican, but what did we just watch? Unbelievable. That was an interesting match. Well, with the Atlanta Reign winning that one out, that's going to be obviously the 3-0 victory for them, and it's another win on the board for them as well. London now unable to qualify for the knockouts in this kind of tournament cycle, so that's going to be an opportunity removed from them. It wasn't really in their hands anyway. They kind of had to win out from this point, but now that it is firmly dead in the water. But God, what did we just watch? We're going to go to a break, I guess. On the other side of things as well, the interview with Gator, of course, as well. I'd be very curious to hear, Danny, I suppose, touching onto that a little bit as well. The desk has to think about all of it. But yeah, we'll see soon enough. Don't go anywhere. Even more Overwatch League coming up after the break. See you soon.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Game Break presented by Cheez It Grooves. You're joined now by Gator from Atlanta, Rain. Gator, congratulations on the big win. Now, I just want to start off this interview by asking what happened at the end of King's Row. We saw something very interesting, and I found it pretty hilarious as well. Can you tell us what happened?
Oh, yeah. So they just they kind of hit us with the spawn camp there at the beginning, so we figured we'd do the EU BM a little bit, get them back a little bit, how to not hit the no cap. That's all.
Okay, so
just giving them a hard time.
A spawn camp. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
we
so
can help ourselves.
Game. They spawn camped you guys first.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, and then all the soccer stuff going on right now, or football, whatever.
Right.
So.
I'm actually curious. Who made this call? Was it Masa? Because I remember Masa in game chat wrote, "It's not coming home."
I guess that's Masa being EU. I'm not. I guess there's something with that with the soccer stuff, but I called the no cap at the ending. I had to just give him a hard time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just messing with them.
Yeah, they started with the spawn camp and you answered back with that, so it's fair
exactly,
game, right?
exactly.
And,
yeah.
And I feel like it was a great call. All right, let's jump right into the actual questions. So we've been seeing the Rain, the Atlanta Rain run Ryan comps most of the times until today, where you guys, stuck with the double shield throughout the whole match. Was this comp change a result of what you guys learned after your match against the Dallas Fuel?
Yeah, we had a good time. We had a good thing going. We were playing all the Ryan Brawl stuff, and then we were playing like the Lucio Mora Monkey Brawl stuff. So all that was fun comps. And then like some team had to come along and ruin it for everybody and start playing double shield. So we had to play double shield too, pretty much. So I guess it was just like an adaptation after the fact that we had already kind of played it a little bit here and there in some maps, but
right.
We pretty much just full swapped at this point. It's easier and like a safer comp.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I just wanted to add another question. Historically, you guys have always been a great double shield team. So, and it's shaping up to be in Summer Showdown. A lot of teams are using double shield as well. Are you sort of, confident in your future matches because a lot of teams are going to be using, or they're starting to use more double shield compositions? That if it's a mirror match, that you guys, could be an easier win for you guys?
Yeah, I do think it's one of our stronger comps. I think we're pretty good at anything we really just put a lot of effort into getting good at. It's just that unfortunately that comp has been pretty meta over the past couple of years. It's probably meta 50-60% of the time. So we just kind of put a lot of effort into getting good at double shield stuff. So yeah, I'd say we're pretty confident going forward.
Okay, interesting. All right, my next question for you, Gator, is your next opponent is going to be Boston Uprising, who won against Titans and the Mayhem. Were these matches sort of enough of a sample size to give you an idea of what Boston is going to run and how they are going to look in the meta?
Yeah, I think we have an expectation of what they play, but we swapped up a lot of our stuff, so I think they play today sometime later today.
Right.
So we'll probably watch that and just kind of get an idea of what they're doing going forward. But I think we more focus on what we do versus what our enemy does. And they're like a pretty good team. They're kind of up and coming, I guess you could say. Sure. So yeah, we should be prepared for them for sure.
All right. Well, that wraps up our interview. Gator, thank you so much for your time, and let's head back to the desk.
Thanks, Danny.
Thank you so much, Danny. Thanks a lot, Gator. Congratulations to the Atlanta Rain. And yeah, savage ending. But as you said, Danny, fair game, right? They come at us, we come at them. That's just kind of the name of the game. I love just how American the response was as well. Look at that soccer thing going on.
Soccer, football, whatever. There's some soccer thing happening in Europe.
Somewhere over there.
I just like to think that Masa listened to our pre-show. He heard me posing the question whether or not it is coming home, and he just went full circle, wanted to, tie it all up at the end. So thank you, Masa, really for bringing it back to those storylines, which we always chase here on the desk. You make it easy. Now, let's dive into the match and talk about what just happened, because heading into it, we did discuss that we do want to see some changes from the Atlanta Rain. Costa, are you happy with the look we saw of them today?
Yeah, and I think Danny did a great job in that interview getting the thoughts of Gator, and that's what we expected from this Atlanta Rain team. As you said, they are good at this meta. It makes no sense why they would sort of try and force this Reinhardt, because you sort of saw the clash of the two styles today from Atlanta versus London. London wanted to play that Lucio Reinhardt, and it can work, and we saw that in the first round. It's just harder, and Gator said that himself. It's an easy to execute composition when you just play that double shield. All you have to do is play as a unit, get some of the picks. It's a lot better than having to sim TP everywhere, trying to enable your Reinhardt, keep him alive, Lucio speed boost and all that kind of stuff. So great look from the Atlanta Reign. I'm glad they have adopted it, and I think this is going to be a growing trend as we go further into the Summer Showdown of a lot of these Western region teams adopting the double shield and sort of trying to utilize that as best as possible. And I actually like the little spins that Atlanta put on themselves. They put in Kai at some point to play the hit scan on a map where it's really advantageous for that as well, not really just hard sticking to this Mesa Metra. So really good look from Atlanta, even higher on them than I was before. So if I can borrow some of your scrim bucks, Zoe, I want those back.
That's not how it works. I'm sorry. Reinforce, do you feel Gator's pain here? I think in the interview with Danny, he did say, like, you know, and then now one team has to come in, ruin it for everyone. That's why we can't have nice things. Now we're back to double shield. Is that a pain you share?
Perhaps a little bit. I mean, we've seen a lot of double shield these past couple of years, but that being said, I mean, we've had our fair share of Reinhardt this season too, so I get Gator's frustration. I know that he loves playing the Reinhardt as much as me, and you know, we see in the match like against Dallas Fuel last week that Gator has the potential to be one of the best Reinhardts in the league. So of course you want to play the Reinhardt meta composition, right? But it's also Reinhardt, you know, with the Symmetra. I still think you can make that work, as Costa said, by the way. I still think you can make the Reinhardt Symmetra work if that is a style that benefits you and your roster more so than these slower double shield compositions. It just so happens that Atlanta Reign, they're very good at both of them. So, you know, if they prefer to play the double shield, if they feel like that is safer and less of a risk, you know, I don't see why not change it up to the double shield. But you can play some Reinhardt if you're feeling brave. So it's
feeling brave. I like that. I like that. I love the you know, the change of pace we saw today from the Atlanta Reign. Let's see if they can continue it with their next match tomorrow. Now it is crunch time for the Outlaws as well as the Uprising, presented by TZ Groups, because Reinforce, whoever wins clinches a spot in the Summer Showdown knockout. So it's in, no, win and in, that way around.
Yeah, it's very interesting actually. Of course, both teams have 2 matches this weekend, so even if you lose this one, you still have a chance later on this weekend to secure your spot. But you're right, the winner of this matchup, they will end up being 3-0 in the standings for the Summer Showdown Qualifiers, and they will make their way to the knockouts on Sunday. So along the line here, the Boston Uprising, of course, they had 2 nice wins. They relied a lot on stand 1, playing that Reinhardt composition. Certainly not a coward. That's an old meme for you guys out there. But if you look at the Houston Outlaws, they looked really impressive with this Orisa composition. This is all, they're all a bit similar to the Atlanta Reign because they succeeded when they played Chengdu on that Reinhardt, but as well slowing things down, play the double shield. That's where you really see Piggy flourish playing the Sigma. And Dante, of course. I mean, you see it here for yourselves. His May has been spectacular so far in the Summer Showdown Qualifiers. We know what he can do on Tracer, Sombra, all of these different heroes. Dante has been the carry for the Houston Outlaws. Or actually, no, he did it. No, what? That's an old meme. And it doesn't check out anymore because Dante was the carry last year. What? Dante was the carry for the Houston Outlaws forever. But Piggy carries as much as Dante, dare I say. So Dante, yes, I understand. Dante for MVP, it's all of that, right? Dante is phenomenal, but they have more than just one good player on this team now. What?
I'm saying discrediting Dante there a little bit. I think,
I'm not. Like, I'm building up Piggy and Dante.
One of the carry. He's not the only person trying to deadlift the team to victory like we saw him historically. But yes, he definitely has a lot more players. But you can't discredit him. Dante is still one of the best DPS players that we have.
Yeah, but you can't have multiple carries on a team because then you're not carrying.
But you just said Dante isn't the carry. You said that line, which is discrediting Dante.
How many carries can you have on a team, Costa? When do
you can have multiple, but you said he won. Okay, we should move on.
Fight.
We'll get.
I'm sorry.
They share the burden.
I am with Reinforce here. I think Piggy's just like 1.5 toes above everyone else right now. So I love what we've seen from Piggy. That's a Sigma reference for everyone who didn't get it. You're welcome. But it is time to get that next match going, and we still haven't figured out which Archon we want for that Janu Piggy. What are the 2 contenders? Like, can we get a vote in chat? Is that possible?
I think we have the technology. It's between Jiggy, which is just the superior name, no bias, and Pingu.
No, what are you talking?
Pingu.
better.
Which is
Pingu.
I like Pingu. So are we newting it, or are we getting jiggy with it? Like, you guys have to let us know. I want to know where we're going with this. Why are you judging me so hard, Josh? I see you in my preview monitor. I saw the look you just gave us. What is that all about?
There's no judgment here. You were just bringing back old memories of watching Pingu from years ago. When you said,
don't you see?
When
Wait,
you said
guys, don't you guys think Pingu is a better name?
I'm immediately on your side. As soon as you said Newt, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
there we go.
I'm with the nostalgia value.
Yeah.
I'm still disappearing. Oh no! Oh god!
What's happening?
I mean, it's just internet.
It's whenever we talk to the desk.
Yeah,
whenever we talk to the desk, you guys are getting deep into it. I'm really interested in this game. I'm wondering whether we are going to see a big trend with all of these teams moving in the same direction as Houston playing double shield. Is this the end of the sim craziness of people teleporting all over the place?
So here's the question for you then, Sideshow. What do you think is Boston Uprising's best chance? Because I agree, it's a very interesting question. You know, we also have the Dallas Fuel playing this weekend. What are they going to do? Are they going to still play the Reinhardt composition, or will they move over to the double shield? Will Pine come in, for example? These are very interesting questions. But in today's matchup, Boston Uprising, they have played a lot of Reinhardt. Is their best chance to swap over to double shield, or do you think they should just stick to the Reinhardt and Symmetra perhaps?
I think they are massively the underdog no matter what they choose. I think,
sure, fair enough.
I think their best shot might be to try and play some like Ashe Echo or Hangzhou Echo and try and like really drill the front line in a double shield mirror or something. Try and hope that you get insane performances out of I'm 37 and Valentine. I don't really know what you can do to be able to beat this Houston team. They could end up being the favorite for this tournament. They look that scary.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to cut it off here. I'm cutting it off here. Let's get into the action soon enough. I actually have a bit of a disagreement with your point. I think this match has the potential to be quite close, honestly.
Okay, do you?
In particular, yes, with the Boston Uprising. And I think that although from the sounds of it with Gator's interview and Houston kind of setting trends with this double shield composition, I still think teams could make the rush work on certain maps as well. Definitely. Now, it's still, I'm not going to make the claim that it's going to be like an even 50-50, but I think it has a lot of potential, this match. It's going to be certainly, I think, going to be much closer than our previous one that we just watched.
Well, I mean, a lot of people should be expecting this to be a good game, because if you talk about Boston and what they've been able to accomplish, they're 2-0 right now. They have the wins on the board that would set you up to be a decent team. Like the desk was saying, they need to win this game and they're into the knockouts. Now, the problem to me, though, Brian, is that when you look at the teams that they actually beat, they got wins over the Titans and then over the Florida Mayhem. And in the current context of what's going on in North America, those aren't the most impressive wins in the world. So even though they did only drop a single map during that run, I don't think they look as dominant, as coordinated as the Houston Outlaws right now. I could absolutely be proven wrong, and this is still a squad with a decent amount of talent. But to me, they're towards the middle of the pack, whereas Houston are really punching up at the top.
Well, let's take a look at the Houston Outlaws and their starting lineup and who we're going to be seeing in that regard. And yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment that Boston are going to be punching up, particularly in this game here. And this Houston squad is really starting to come alive a lot as time goes on, honestly. I think there were a lot of criticisms, I think, of the Outlaws early on in the season. Juby obviously was such a fresh face, but at this point, he's got some games under his belt. We're at the, beyond the midway point of this season. He's starting to be more comfortable in this squad. They've got Django and Piggy back in as well. I love this tank duo. I think splitting them up in the first place was a pretty bad idea. Their synergy is amazing as a duo. And of course, Dante and Happy, you're not going to see any arguments from me with this DPS line. They have been performing above and beyond.
Everyone expected the DPS line to be excellent, but it's the tanks and the supports that have just elevated the Houston Outlaws above anybody's expectations. The backline of Juby and Crimzo was thought to be perhaps a little weak, Juby coming straight out of collegiate. The improvement this guy has made on the main support position is dramatic. He started off only being comfortable on Lucio, and now he's been able to pick up the Brig, pick up the Mercy, put player and coach Jake back on the bench where he can focus more on coaching with Juby playing the majority of the time. So I'm loving everything that I'm seeing from the Houston Outlaws. They are a team that's made progress over the whole course of the season, and they didn't start that bad either. They came straight out of the gates with wins over Dallas and the Shock, and now they're looking to just continue that trend. 9-1. This is a season like no other for the Texan team.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's been an age since this team was looking so good, this franchise, I should say. It's a completely different team almost in its entirety.
They didn't even have moments like that, I'm gonna be honest. Like, at the very beginning of Season 1, maybe you could say that they looked like this, yeah. But they didn't have like a 9-1 record, punting for every time going to the stage finals. So this is consistency and excellence. And yeah, really the only player that they've managed to keep the franchise is Dante, and they're building around him. I suppose if you don't consider player and coach Jay, who is also a long-time member of the Houston Outlaws squad. But this is pretty much a full rebuild for the 2021 season, and every piece has just worked.
It's really coming alive and coming together. Now, the Boston Uprising looking to grab a win here today. Remember the stakes that are on the line, I should say, for both these teams. A win, and they go into the knockouts, and that's what they're all playing for here. The Boston Uprising going for something very, very unusual here. So going to be playing a lot more of a floaty dive composition, trying to play around the hacks, and trying, I suppose, cycle a lot of this nano blade action. The Houston Outlaws going for something a lot more standard.
Yeah, the Boston Uprising, they need to get hacks onto probably Crimzo to be able to set things up. The Houston's composition is extremely tanky, so we need big value out of I'm37, and then the Genji is a strange one too.
Yeah, Dante spotted him. Stand one. Good shield bash there. Maybe with the initiation just not quite happening. Maybe they were trying to set something up with I'm37, and with him having to relocate back to the rest of his team, it could have disrupted the timing that they were going for, but it will mean that the Houston Outlaws, they've gained the most important part, I suppose, when you're running this composition, is trying to get that first capture, and now they can hold the forward positioning.
Whoa, Valentine was so close to being picked off there. The rest of his team was just coming back up to spawn, and Stan One is getting bullied. Valentine and Stan One are both so lucky to get out with their lives there, but they have fed Myungbong this nano boost charge. Who does it go on to, though? Presumably Stan One, because Valentine is so far away from the blade.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, you would assume it would be. And yeah, it looks like they're setting up for that initiation, that play. Oh my god, the shot's ringing true. Myungbong almost going down there, but with that nano boost, maybe building up that primal rage. 70%. Just needs to try and take care of that turret, but as that was happening, that time 37 taken out. I think that was a flashbang to assist as well, catching him off guard. Still in the fight though. Dante taken out means that it's an opportunity for them, but with that gravitic flux, it's all but over now.
They did a huge amount of damage, Boston Uprising, with the engage, but they just didn't have anyone pressuring the back. And that's where you see the Shanghai Dragons, for example, running the Tracer and the Sombra, because the Tracer has so much more mobility to follow up on those kind of dive engages from Stan One, from your Winston. I mean, they play with a ball, but it's the same kind of concept. Whereas Valentine has just not really been able to have impact in these fights. He now has a blade, but they don't have the nano. So EMP blade could be coming out here.
Yeah. We see the Deadeye being used, actually. How are just holding this? I'm not sure the positioning. Okay, just holding on to the high ground. It actually pushes them away. Yeah, and the blade's not going to get anything off the back of it. Now, Django did go down, take away the primary anchor, I suppose, of what was opening things up for you. And now with Piggy going, that's the last piece that they needed to fall down to try and get this teamfight win on the go. So Boston finally just finding a crack in the armor. They pierce right through it now, in control. Just got to rotate these ultimates effectively now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. What do you really work with here? So the first thing you need is aggression from Stan One and Valentine, probably with a Primal Rage. But you can't give up this high ground and forward hold position. You need this to be able to stop the Houston Outlaws from getting in good positions. So I think they've backed off way too far here. They're trying to wait for the Nano Blade, oh sorry, not the Nano Blade, the Nano Boost to come online so that they can push back onto the backline with Stan One. But I think it's going to come out too late.
We see a lot of that all actually getting ate up, but finally the Molten Core goes down. Like Nickelodeon slime just all over the floor. Valentine catches Crimzo, takes him out. That's no amplification matrix. Houston Outlaws missing a healer as well. That's pretty ideal, honestly. In the Boston Uprising, yeah, this is a great team fight for them to be taking. Stan One needs to get out of his life, but he's already split up the tank line, drops the bubble. Going to be splitting them up further, and a great team fight win here for the Boston Uprising.
Yeah, they actually did execute on that really well. I was concerned that they'd given Houston Outlaws too much space, but at the same time, when Stan One and Valentine dove onto the backline and found Crimzo, no one from the Outlaws really turned around. I don't think that was properly communicated, that Crimzo was under so much threat. They were probably dealing with I'm37 at the same time. So Boston have cycled their ults effectively, and now they have Nanoblade potential. So this is a good opportunity for Boston to get back into this round.
Ult available. Now we see the Nano Blade. That is instantly Crimzo is taken out into the Gravitic Flux to try and counteract it. Valentine will get sent straight up into the air. The turret does the job, but they've already got the picks they need.
Yeah, this
a lot of kills going their way. 92% now for Boston. This ult rotation has worked out, and it's Houston Outlaws who are the ones who have to press forward. They need to touch this point, otherwise they're going to lose this round.
And there's no one that's able to do it. The EMP comes out towards the end from I'm37, and they lock it up. Boston Uprising playing compositions that are reminiscent perhaps of what we saw very early on in this stage from the Los Angeles Gladiators, with a lot of Sim being used, with a lot of Sombra being used at the same time as like a Genji or a Doomfist. The idea being that if you start to generate those ultimates and you can play aggressive, you are always the ones that are dictating the tempo. The crucial fight, though, was when Stan1 was able to get value out of his Primal. The death of Crimzo without having to use an ult is the kind of thing that Houston Outlaws cannot afford. Dropping a player when Boston haven't been cycling their ults effectively just means that you are going to lose. And now Houston, they look like they're changing things up completely, maybe to try and match the tempo of Boston Uprising. Dante making the move over to the Echo.
Mirror match on either side with the compositions. It is the Houston Outlaws who think that they can play this comp better than what the Boston Uprising have put out. Maybe this is something that they've discovered in scrims as well. Big Bionade on either side, but this is the backline of the Houston Outlaws. Just gets caught there. Still happy trying to even it out as well. He takes out I'm37, the tank line. A lot of pressure being applied. Punk has to just try and peel away for them. A huge Bionade again. The Outlaws just really unable to push through. Myeonbong building up 62% of his ult. He's got a slight advantage off the back of the impact that he's having, but it will be the early point now in control here for the Boston Uprising.
And I love this reposition from them as well. They're not just grouping up around the objective. They're going to try and tank a bit of damage onto Stan1, feed Myeonbong his Nano Boost charge, and then re-engage with that. But Crimzo is now ahead. Chengdu's pretty weak though, and this is going to be an even fight.
Yep, Nano Boost straight round the side there. Valentine, though, he had the flight. He took out Dante, and he's got out scot-free. They need to try and protect Myeonbong, though. The beam coming through onto him. That is a great whip shot to try and peel him away. Now we see it's going to be the Primal Rage committed. Django needs to get this kill to try and turn it around. Happy's already doing a decent amount of work. He's just about to get it, but slipped. Booped off, but has the leap. He's going to be back into safety here. The fight continues. Pulse Bomb is good. It's going to be connecting. Gets the D-Mech there onto the D.Va. A little of a throwback to 2018 as well, all over the place today, but we're seeing this fight turning out in the favor here of the Houston Outlaws. They are winning it out.
That was so close to going wrong for Houston, though. The Sleep Dart coming out from Myeonbong nearly knocked Django off the side. He just got woken up in time to be able to leap away, and that could have changed the fight utterly. Houston, though, with a good recovery, and they are now massively in the lead when it comes to Nano Boost charge. They're probably going to be fairly even when it comes to the Echo as well. It's really interesting watching Dante fight against Valentine. There was so much hype around Valentine coming in as a rookie for Boston, but he hasn't really showcased that all year. He's had glimpses, flashes of brilliance, but it hasn't been consistent.
Rally has to be popped off here. Shield bashing back to the safety of their team. Stamon slept up. Get tickled a little bit here. The point's still in control, by the way, of the Houston Outlaws, but Valentine with that Primal, that is all enough damage being done. Look at it, he's actually going to get two. It's not the cleanest in the world, but it doesn't have to be when it's indoors. Easy pickings.
Yeah.
It's Boston flipping it over.
And so far in this round, the Echo diff is going the way of Valentine. Much better duplicate there, copying over onto the Winston, whereas Dante copied the Brigitte late towards the end of the fight. Plus, if you wind your mind back a couple of team fights ago, the Valentine kill onto Dante was crucial to giving Boston Uprising an advantage early on. So far, so good for the rookie on Boston.
Happy laying down that pulse bomb. He's going to start to apply a bit of a presence now onto this point to try and at least divert some eyes over to it. Nano Boost onto Dante, but he misses the sticky bombs. The flight just about faded, and that's Valentine. Just drop him around the corner. Puts him down, takes him out of the fight. The Boston Uprising with the ult advantage of winning out the team fight.
This is incredible stuff from Boston. They're way overperforming what I thought they were capable of. Absolutely proving my expectations wrong. I don't think anyone can even get here. It's 97%. The Trace is miles away. Oh, Django just gets his tippy toes on the objective.
Primal Rage, Bionade applied. He's getting burnt down pretty rapidly now. Has to just back off. Round the corner, back up now, but a huge Bionade from Crimzo could be enough to turn this one. Catches onto 2 targets. Sleep Dart, though. Django can't take this fight. Still even. It's up to Happy and the Piggy, actually. It's not even at all. The rally armor comes through. Boston, they've got all the sustain in the world, and they just track down Piggy, take him out, and the overtime goes down to nothing. And that is going to be the map. Going towards the Boston Uprising, taking it away, and upsetting a lot of our expectations early for which way this series was going to go.
Yeah, that is a fantastic start straight out of the gate from Boston. They showcased some really unusual compositions when it comes to specifically Ruins, where they were running the ball with the Sombra Genji and then moving over to the Winston, but they found good value out of it, and specifically Valentine as well, showcasing the hype that he came into the season with and realizing that in a big match. Remember that this is win and in for both of these teams to get into the Summer Showdown knockouts. It is crucial that they continue the momentum that they've got, both of these teams, with their 2-0 start here.
Really heating up, and we're going to go to a short break, and obviously on the other side of it, the series is going to be continuing. We'll find out if the Houston Outlaws can answer back at what the Boston Uprising are throwing out at them, if they can potentially get a map on the board against them. We'll find out soon enough. Don't go anywhere. More Overwatch League action after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back from the break, everybody, and jumping straight into it, let's take a look at our Indeed player resume, and we're going to take a closer look at Valentine as well. This guy with a couple of accomplishments as well, but relatively a bit of an unknown quantity, I think, coming into this year. But if that last map was anything to judge it off, this guy, I mean, he's got buckets of potential that's being met as we speak, kind of getting the diff on Dante when it comes to the Echo Duel.
And that's unexpected, because even though Valentine was a hyped-up rookie coming into this year, and people on the Boston Uprising particularly were saying, wait until you see this guy, wait until you see him, he's just brimming with potential. We haven't really seen that realized over the course of the season. He's been good in moments, but he hasn't been consistently excellent. So this beginning to this match, he is turning up exactly when his team needs him, both on the Genji at the beginning and then on the Echo afterwards. At the Echo in particular, I would not say most people would expect him to get the better end of Dante. Dante's Echo is notoriously excellent, but he did.
He certainly did. Map leaderboard presented by Xfinity here for Anubis. You can see the Uprising set a record against the Dallas Fuel back in 2018. Long time ago. Now you're going to send your mind spiraling backwards to really remember what even happened then, I suppose. I mean, I can't even remember the circumstances of that, but it was clearly a very rapid time.
It was probably part of their perfect stage when Boston Uprising went 10-0 underneath the coaching of Krusty, just around that kind of time when Krusty was moving over to the San Francisco shop. It was, yeah, a really interesting story for both of these franchises. But again, Boston Uprising essentially have changed every single player since then. So these teams do not mirror those performances in the slightest. Both teams, though, looking to build off of poorer performances over the last couple of years. The Houston Outlaws have finished 16th in their recent regular season showings. This year, massively different. The Boston Uprising last year, they were only able to get 2 wins. This time around, they're way ahead of that. They're at 5-5, and they're knocking on the door of being able to take this one too.
Can you imagine a win against the Houston Outlaws for the Boston Uprising? I mean, it's exceeding, I think, everyone's expectations. It's almost rewriting the script as well. I mean, so many people high up on the Houston Outlaws for good reasons. This is a squad with unbelievable talent, and they've been showcasing it. But Boston definitely showing that they're not willing to just stand down too easily just yet.
And I mean, the little factoid at the bottom of your screen just there, the last time these two teams played on Anubis, it was part of that El Clasico at the beginning of the 2020 season, the 7-mapper with Jerry falling into the drink. What a difference this is in terms of the quality of play from these two franchises.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for it. I'm here for it.
Oh yeah.
As much as people love to see us cast those types of matches, you know, I'd much rather be casting two very good teams on the other side of it, which is what's happening here.
The positioning from both of these DPS players from Boston, they're playing Genji Tracer dive, but I'm 37. He was flanking around the side and he can't do anything. And now the Boston Uprising take all of that initiative and they just forge forwards. They deal with the threat in the back, they push the front line. That's the hallmark of a really aware and decisive team. But you can see what Boston are doing there, trying to flank around the Genji Tracer and get the dive. Been a long time since we've seen this comp do well.
It really is. And we'll see what they've got up their sleeves for it. It relies a lot on Valentine getting set up in position for these dives, as well as I'm 37, as you mentioned as well. But Houston not messing around and getting the full stagger onto Punk as well, which is just brutal. Gonna have to switch back and switch to D.Va again just to get the mech back. Now, what I want to know as well is how do you break this that the Houston Outlaws have won that first team fight, because they've got the ult advantage coming into it now, Josh.
Again, it's just about getting your DPS in good positions. They need to get Valentine probably on a flank angle. He's probably looking to pass through these windows up at the top and get around behind Houston. But you've probably got to bait out this amp matrix too before you go for it. I think just aggressing with a nano boost engage here would be a mistake.
What?
And Dante just destroys them.
Dante, I mean, I was paying attention to Crimzo as well because I was like, okay, he's got good positioning. He lays down the Am Matrix. And someone tried to contest him onto the high ground, had to turn away, otherwise he was going to get absolutely blown up by the damage coming his way. It didn't even matter. Dante just gets the backline with one pulse bomb. Let's take a look at this.
Yeah, the timing on this is so good, but because Boston are playing slowly, Houston have all the time in the world to be able to formulate their plan. That is a gorgeous pulse, though. So close to being able to like land on Fate's shield and get just no value. But now they've used their nano boost, so they don't have a nano blade potential. And even though Stanmon has his primal, which should be a fantastic tool to work with, they can't use like nano and then primal to disrupt the Orisa comp so much. So a bit of a wasted opportunity there, that prior team fight.
Ultimate to backline rallies comes from both teams. You can see I'm37 now has made his way up onto the high ground. That's the blade comes through. That was as soon as the Immortality field was forced out. It's going to be 2 down. Bomb to try and push them away. Valentine, though, not going to get too much more with that blade. Just needs to try and take out Dante, but Dante's grabbed up the health pack. This fight continues. Needs to win out this fight. The reload might be struggling here, but Valentine eventually finds it.
And good work from Valentine once more, finding value from the blade. Houston didn't seem like they were ready for that. Crimzo was getting harassed by M37. Happy wasn't in a position to Deadeye, which is a good zoning tool whenever you see a Genji with a Dragon Blade towards you. And the bomb from Piggy was a little too late. So Boston, again, with these unorthodox compositions, they're finding ways to crack open Orisa comps from Houston.
And you can see Dante just trying to mark his adversary. I'm 37, and Dante's a guy who we think of when we think of some of the best Tracer players in the world. He's up there. It's a hard task for I'm 37 to do, but he's getting the support of his team, and the positioning's been worked around. Boston, they managed to waddle their way through Dark, immediately get rid of that supercharger. The Fortify comes out there from Django just to try and stay alive. Recall, not available for Dante's. He's just trying to peel away and potentially follow up on any sort of damage, but Django goes down. Scored on 37 with that health pack being gained, just trying to stay alive, stay back into it. Self-destruct off and around the corner, pushes the Houston Outlaws away. Still, they try and take the fight even further forward. Recall comes out from them, and that's Django with the power driver. I'm37 is out of the fight, but a tick has been gained now for the Boston Uprising. Probably not going to be winning this fight. Still, they're getting the pickoffs anyway, but Houston are coming in with some very, very healthy members. Both the support line and the tank lines are just trying to follow this up. It's going to be hard for Boston to win it out.
Yeah, the Boston Uprising have got to reset here, but they still have tools, and they managed to gain a single tick. So this is all good stuff from the Boston Uprising. They've still got time in the bank. And they've forced the Houston Outlaws to make some very different moves with their comp. Django had to go over to the ball, which was effective, now moves back over to Orisa. And Dante thought about matching Tracer for a while to try and keep I'm37 in check, but now moves over to Torbjorn, probably because they realize there's going to be a big blade engage in this next team fight. And the Torb is good at being able to try and keep Valentine in check. The Nano Blade, though, is just going to be brutal, I feel.
Well, it's available, it's ready and waiting. They need to set up positioning for it. So you can see them trying to mark Valentine, always calling out the positioning of him, because you can't let him just get free reign when he has the blade. They know it's coming. Here it comes, the Nano Blade, straight through them. He's going to be finding 2 pickoffs off the back of it, just slicing and dicing through them. That is ridiculous. The bomb over the top, but it's a little bit too late there from Piggy. The Torb turret will be gone as well. They just need to push away a couple of these players left standing. Piggy just trying to stall it out. Happy over onto the Tracer now. Django back over onto the ball. Power driver down, but it only stops them for but a moment. A Matrix from the side. Crimzo wants to try and at least clutch this one up, but he's being pressured back as well. Stand One's Primal Rage really doing all the business to try and push them back. Bit of a beat there with the jump, but now back in line of sight of his team to get the heals up. Just need to clear these players off and get the time on the board.
Punk with the self-destruct as well, takes down Piggy, and Crimzo's been slept for an easy dismissal. Whoop, he managed to get out of that with a fade, but it's not going to be too much longer. And the Houston Outlaws, they cannot hold on, not even until overtime. Boston and Valentine at the tip of the spear are making mincemeat of the Outlaws. This style from Boston that we've only seen before from the Gladiators is hyper effective against the turtley bunker style of Houston. They can't quite deal with